have control over the expenditure side of the budget. You've got tremendous control over that. So I'll be glad to take any questions you might have about my presentation, but you might want to get right into the presentations from the principals and other district leaders. Anything you have for me?
One thing, our page 2 does not match the 1.9 number that is on the slide. Maybe that was updated, maybe that was something you updated, or?
Yeah, that's accurate. That's just the education portion.
Okay.
But if you take that and spread it out over the entire community, it becomes less.
Okay. Okay.
So in other words, 1.9 is net to taxes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Got it.
In your book, it says 2.6, but that's just the education portion.
So this is net to tax.
Right, because you notice we only have this person paying $3,000 in property taxes, when in fact they're paying, $4,000
Right,
something.
this is the town portion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Okay,
but-
sorry. Got it. Anyone else?
Any other questions like that? Thanks for pointing that out. Tom? First one, as always.
You have the fund vote summary in your book, so if you haven't read it before, you can read along. I hope to make this more interactive than that and follow up on the recommendations. Chris, I chose 3 highlights, and I just wanted to use this opportunity to explain my rationale for that. The first one, and maybe amplify it a little bit. And my real reason for doing that is to show you how your work developing budget numbers results in improvement in the schools. The first is the K-5 Literacy Task Force, which you've heard about. In fact, Kate is on the committee and reported to you in November. The reason I chose that is that in the budget there are funds continuing for professional development for the staff, even in tight budget times. That has had quite an effect throughout Ponto and I think the whole district. And Jim Collins in Good to Great calls that a flywheel effect. And I think that's exactly what happened with the Literacy Task Force. It's a small but very important project, and its energy has helped stabilize a lot of school improvement efforts at Ponto. The second one is more work done with CIA. In this case, it's the revamped and successful implementation of the guidance curriculum. And I wanted to thank you for the modifications you made in personnel last year. Now that we have a new social worker in regular education and still have a full-time guidance person, they hit the ground running in August, and they've energized the entire school with their work. They sorted out the roles completely. They work extremely collaboratively with instructional support, and they are prime players in our student support team. They set a great example for everybody else. And the third one, I know it's near and dear to your heart. It's been a school board goal for a couple of years now, is technology. And this shows not only your commitment to it, but the town's support. The installation of smart boards, completed the installation in all of the classrooms at Ponco. It was a collaborative effort of the school board funding in the beginning, which was coupled with the Parents Association and finally the many contributors to SEEK. And that, again, is another effect that has been magnified, because once the smart boards are installed, they don't do much until people learn how to use them. Internally, our tech support person, our tech integrator, and the teachers themselves have been spreading the word of how to use them. And I'm sure you'd be pleased to learn that we want them to be tools, not just sitting on the wall. That's happening. Those are the 3 highlights. Moving on to preparation for the budget, it's what we've been doing for years. We've gone through, when I say we, the whole staff, we go through every line item. I report to Paul Reagan, the superintendent. And last year, I think we kind of peered over the edge. I think we've gone as far as we can in cuts. I agree we can. If we cut any further, I think we can permanently damage the system. So we went through everything and decided that a maintenance budget would allow us, when I say we, the team leaders were involved with the teams, if we could keep what we have, we could keep making progress, as I've given examples with the highlights for the year. The good news, though, about the budget is this is the first year, I think in 2 years, we haven't had to reckon with curtailment, and we haven't had the budget freeze to get through the year. And it's reminded me the importance of having that direct connection to the classroom. It's a small part of the budget, but the teachers have been able to replenish books in the classroom. They've had opportunities to go to outside workshops, professional development, and that's had a ripple effect through the school. Which gets me to the conclusion of the budget. It's essentially what Ken said. If you exclude salaries and benefits, it's up only about $3,000. I think if we can keep going with the other professional development we have, those other examples, that will continue to improve the content school.
Any questions you have for Tom?
There's a supply line item in here with a $44,000 increase, is that?
Yeah, that's an accounting
Trick.
full name. That was federal funds that paid for it this year, and those funds are gone, so that the supply line is not up. It's just the
Okay.
federal funds that paid for it.
The source of the funds is different, but the amount is not,
Yeah.
okay.
You can see that in all three schools. Last year, we used that federal stimulus money
But
for supplies.
it's going to feel like an increase to teachers because of what I did about that curtailment and no freeze. It feels better, which is important when we're out. We weren't able to spend that money either.
We should have felt that way this year somewhat, right?
Yeah, and it's helping people plan for the future. They were shocked that we could actually get it.
How do the substitutes work on 1230? No substitutes? Do you have that? There's a 0% on 1230 is the number.
Which page you on?
I just looked down the number.
Okay.
That
In
would
the
be
salary
under the
count?
salaries and benefit tab, where it lists all salaries and benefits. If you're looking at account 8700, 1230, salaries for substitutes, we're proposing the same amount as last year, $60,941.
So those are part of the budget.
There's no increase.
Okay, so it shows the 0 where I found it, but you were talking. And then is that the same for the study fees?
That is budgeted also, the same.
The same. Yep.
And then I assume teacher leaders, line 5060.
The only real change in the substitute is we're using the automated system this year, so it's changed.
But none of the price is in the
We're actually saving money.
You still have substitutes.
We have money for substitutes, yes.
So the money you're money for substitutes. And then the other question I have, or keep going, also, is that when you get down to teacher in-services or staff development, you've got, there's the same 5,000 budgeted for all staff.
Which line are you on, Kate?
Page 3.
Page 3, the bottom, total for the instruction.
No, it's on in your section, Tom, page 3. At the bottom.
So, 8725.
We have, I use both accounts for that, 1,500 and 1,501, so you return to the $5,000.
1,500, 1,509, 1,502, yes.
Yeah. Well, 1502 is specifically for reading recovery. The other two we tend to combine for special projects. So the $5,000 for staff development can be used for workshops, and the $12,500 is used for projects over the summer and other professional development. The total's about the same.
And then, for how many, for staff development for recovery, how many teachers in that benefit, the and they also keep their training and then teach other teachers, so they report that that's what you pass on.
I'm sorry, they
They
what?
pass on their knowledge.
Yes. And included in that, that's a fee to belong to Reading Recovery, so it includes data collection and publication.
The parent community has picked up remedial math for third and fourth graders, I think, over the last several years. Is that something that you think is that a need that's going to continue? And if so, is it in the budget or is it not in the budget?
It's not in this budget because it's a maintenance budget. It is a need, but I agree with Ken, I'm not sure the time is right for me to put that in the budget. If it were to be in there, it would cost a lot more than it does now. We're doing it on a shoestring. And if that would become an official part, it would be a bit of a bump.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Tom? Steve?
Okay, so following the themes that Ken pointed out in for those listen and learn meetings, we're focusing on continuous improvement, making sure that that pervades all the work that we're doing, gets into some of those 1500 and 1501 categories that you just mentioned, Tom. And also you'll notice that my supply line's up $34,000. That's an ARA fund thing. We'll get to that. I think that as you look at this, hopefully what you see in the highlights are that there are a lot of different ways that kids are involved in the middle school, and that kids have the opportunity to experience success. And we know that they also have the opportunity to experience things that aren't successful, and that's part of the role of middle school, is to let kids learn how to deal with things with the good sides with grace and aplomb, and how to learn to roll with the punches and the things that don't work as well. But I think what we're seeing in our highlights and in some of our standardized assessments is that overall we're doing well. So we certainly plan to do better. At the bottom of the list, it says about the Cape Elizabeth Education Foundation, Middle School Parents Association. They support activities, everything from lead teacher positions in the past to drum teaching in Ghana and art in Italy, and National Science Teachers Convention attendance in Kansas City, technology resources in the schools to provide our teachers with different ways to reach the students who are in front of them today, who are a much more technologically savvy group. I'd also like to say that beyond this information, we just, as the girls reported tonight, the young ladies, they said about the Scholastic Writing Contest. I think it's great that the school is getting involved in all of those kinds of things. It's not because we can win a silver key or we can have a student finish first in the Native American essay contest. What it's about for me is that we're giving these kids authentic audiences to read their writing, and they have a whole different purpose than what's my grade going to be for this paper when it turns in. So I really appreciate those opportunities, and I think the teachers do as well. We are heavily focused on the literacy aspects. We've learned quite a bit from Jamie Michaud's role in the past 3 years. We're working with Linda Alfiero and Angela Shapani this year. You'll see some of that reflected in a minute when I get to the budget number, to some of the line items. Over the past few years, you see in the budget review history, it talks about that you can see that we haven't added positions. We've just, as I was talking with Ken today about one of the positions that we're shifting in our numbers of classes, he said, so let me get this straight, you're just rearranging the furniture. And I said, it's exactly what we're doing. So we have, for instance, this year we've got 6 fifth grade classes and 7 sixth grade classes. Next year that number will swap. So I'll still have 13 sections. We have a couple of retirements that are happening, but those positions are needed positions and will be